Hello everybody, my name is Rachel and welcome to my channel Colonati. Please excuse this mess and this face. I'm rather blotchy and not looking my best as I just got out of a very hot shower. I decided to film this on a whim because I have a question. I've had a very exciting dinner and post-dinner conversation with my parents about reading and keeping a record of my books. And my dad made a comment to me and my mom that in his multiple decades of life, my mom and I are the only people he has met, talked to, who have very meticulously kept a record of every single book that we have read. We are apparently unusual, and I never thought I was that unusual. Now, let's get into what I actually want to talk about, which is a question for you guys. A lot of people on BookTube, most people on BookTube, use Goodreads to track what they're currently reading and what they have read in the past. And this is my question. If you use Goodreads, or if you don't, if you don't use Goodreads, do you keep track somewhere else of the books that you read? But if you do use Goodreads, did you keep a record of all the books that you read before you discovered Goodreads? Or was discovering Goodreads that moment when you realized that this is something that people do, that there is some reason for keeping track? And then an addendum to this question, which comes out of my own history with keeping a record of my books. To give you some background, I started keeping a list of every book that I read when I was 10, because I found out that my mom had been keeping a list, and I thought this is the coolest thing ever. My mom and I share many wonderful qualities, and one of them is the fact that we really like to make lists. We really like to keep track of things for future reference. We like to have that archive type thing so we can look back at what we've been reading, at what we've been doing, these we don't forget, you know, we don't want to forget. And when I started my list, I was 10 years old, having fun with Microsoft Word for the first time, and as a 10-year-old, I didn't just sit down and just start writing down the books as I read them. I had the presence of mind to sit down and write out every single book I could possibly remember reading prior to that official list. Which is why I have a list of a couple hundred additional books that I read between the ages of 8 and 10 that I don't have read dates for, but I remembered when I was 10 years old that I had read them and I wrote them down. And now, you know, like 15 years later, I am so glad that I had the presence of mind to write that down, because I would never remember that I read a whole bunch of stuff by Eleanor Estes, for example, but apparently my pre-10-year-old self was obsessed with her books. So yeah, and so that's my addendum to this question is, when you started keeping your list, whether it was on Goodreads or somewhere else on a spreadsheet or writing it down, did you go back and try to fill in books that you had read before so that you wouldn't forget, or do you just care about keeping a record of the books that you're reading from that day you started making the list? This kind of seems like a silly question, but I tend to think that things are not unusual until somebody points out to me that what I've been doing for a very long time is definitely not normal. So there you go. This video, this question, this discussion is really inspired, and I'm very enthusiastic about it because today, after dinner, I finally got my hands on my mom's list of the books that she has been reading, and in the last year or so, especially with the end of 2014, there's been this big thing in BookTube where everyone's having these massive spreadsheets of all the books that they've read, and, you know, tracking various statistics, page counts, diversity, genres, formats, all this fantastic information, but it's like, it's all this digitized information. And yeah, my list that I've been keeping for a very long time is completely digital. I have never handwritten it. I love having a spreadsheet where I can generate pie charts and bar graphs. That's really cool. But my mom has been keeping a list of every book that she's read in the past 30 years. My mom started this list when she was only 5 years older than I am now. And this is it. When you have a digital list, you can't hold it. It's pixels on a screen. It's electrons in a machine. It's not something that you can literally just pull out of a binder and hand to your child, which is exactly what my mom did this evening. She's just like, here you go, this is it. It's so small. In my hands, in just a couple of pages, I am holding 30 years of someone's reading life. And it seems so much more meaningful to me, actually, than to have a spreadsheet. It's handwriting. I can see my mom's handwriting. Mom, your handwriting gets worse over the years. And my mom's comment to this, of course, is, well, I was very busy. I was dating your dad, and then I got married and I had children, and then I was working, and yeah, I know, Mom, I know. But it's the physical object. It's tangible. You can touch it. This is history. This is like a family document, guys. And I brought it home. I asked to keep it for a couple of days because I wanted to turn it into a spreadsheet, because that's the kind of person that I am. I want to digitize it. I want to analyze it. I want to make a pivot table. I want to find out exactly how many Gabriel Garcia Marquez books and how many Graham Greene books my mom has actually read. Guys, today, I've known my mom my entire life, and today was the first day that I found out my mom is a fan of Gabriel Garcia Marquez. She has been reading his books since the 80s. I did not know this. But the handwritten thing, it's special. It's handwriting. There's color codes for various authors. Graham Greene is highlighted in pink. Thomas Merton is blue highlighter. There are little notes at the tops of the pages to show how many books that she read each year. Somewhere in here, all the Marquez books are marked with these little diamonds. And somewhere in here we get to the Charles Dellent years. Yes, can you see it in orange? The first Charles Dellent book. The first of many, of so many. Just, you can make lists, but you can also unmake them. You can make them less special. And am I gonna type all these up? Probably. Am I gonna do anything with that list? Probably not. I probably will just do it for the thrill of doing it, and I feel like going beyond that would be undoing something special. My mom's not going to suddenly convert to a digital spreadsheet. She's going to continue handwriting this list for the rest of her life, and that's special. So that is my kind of emotional spiel about writing down the books that you read. And yeah, if you have an answer to my question about when did you start keeping a list, and the importance of Goodreads to you, if you use it in keeping a list, and whether you are at all concerned about keeping a record of those books that you read, much earlier in your life, before you were, you know, before the modern day, I guess. You know, do you really care about marking in Goodreads all the books that you read when you were a child, or are you really just concerned with the stuff that you're reading as an adult? I would really like to know, because for me, I'm a list maker. I'm a completionist. Of course, I went back and I tried to make my original list when I was 10 as complete as possible. When I transitioned to Goodreads, I imported 15 years worth of data into Goodreads, and I still keep my own spreadsheet in a way. My spreadsheet that I keep is more precise and more personal feeling to me than my Goodreads account. My Goodreads account is more organized. I mean, it also has to read lists and more shelves, and you can do cool things with like reading challenges with groups and stuff. But my spreadsheet, while it's never gonna have the physical, tangible evidence qualities of my mom's list, is more special to me than the Goodreads list. So that's my thoughts on that. If you guys have any commentary or stories to share, please let me know. Hopefully this is not too rambly. I'm just doing this on the spur of the moment. So thank you for bearing with me. I hope some of you guys will share some comments down below, and I will talk at you guys again later. Bye.